You're watching the Luca Rosano Show. Here's your host, Luca Rosano.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Luca Rosano Show. I'm your host, Luca Rosano. Hope you're all doing well. On this week's episode, I have special guest, Alvin Williams. Recently, I was able to get an exclusive interview with longtime Raptor Alvin Williams, and he was gracious enough to give me some of his time. In this exclusive piece, Alvin and I talk about the current Raptors, his playing days, and much more. In this interview, you will only see Alvin Williams, and you will hear my voice. I had some technical issues, but nonetheless, I was still able to get the interview to you, the fans. Before we get into it, please do me a solid favor. Please drop a like on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Hit post notifications so you never miss another one of my videos. And share this video if you enjoy it. Without further ado, here is my interview with Alvin Williams. What is going on, everyone? Luca Rosano here, back with another edition of the Luca Rosano Show. And as you can see, I got a very, very special guest with me. Former Toronto Raptor and current NBA analyst for Sportsnet, Mr. Alvin Williams. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm excited to talk to you.
Alvin, I mean, let's pick it up from the top here. How's it going with this whole pandemic? How has it changed your life personally?
Oh man, it's just it's just something that you really can't complain too much about. It's definitely devastating. Life changing, and it brings awareness. But it also it brings perspective to life and important things and priorities. So I've been just with the family. I've been taking some time for myself and things like that, and just trying to stay positive, trying to stay more active. All these things, but I can't complain once again because everyone's going through some trying times. So it's important for us all to stick together and try to get through this whole thing.
That's a very good mindset to have. A lot of people are negative during this time, so the fact that you have an optimistic way of thinking is definitely very, very good to have, especially during these uncertain times, because we don't know how long this quarantine is going to last, this whole pandemic will last, so you got to make the most out of it. Alvin, before we get into your playing career, I want to talk to you about the Toronto Raptors. You covered that championship run very closely last year. How special was it seeing the team that you spent almost the entirety of your career with win the championship?
Oh man, it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable, and you knew the team had talent. You just you never can predict. Unless it's the obvious, past years of Golden State, winning with their makeup and their roster. But you never can predict the championship because there's so many things that go into it. Of course, you have to have the talent. You have to have the pieces together. You have to have, be injury-free a lot of the times. And you have to be playing well. And you have to have a little luck on your side. So all of those things, you can imagine it, but you can't predict it. So it was a great feeling for those guys to go through it. Me being very close to Kyle Lowry, and I saw, the support of the fans, and I can't lie, it was a little bit of hate in my blood too, because I wish I was out there. I wish it was my team winning the championship. But all in all, man, it was a great experience. I was privileged and lucky to be covering it with Sportsnet, so it was a good time for everyone.
Yeah, definitely a memorable time for, former players, fans especially. Let's talk about this current Raptors team for this season. Exceeded expectations, didn't have Kawhi Leonard. If the pandemic never hit, where did you see this Raptors team stacking up in the playoff picture?
It was going to be interesting. They were playing their butts off, man, and the whole season. And like you said, they definitely exceeded outside expectations, right? And but they also showed what it's about being a team. Like, different people stepped up. They've been through injury. They've been through a lot. Not a full roster throughout the majority of the season, and somehow they found a way to win. But that team played well together. They played exceptional together. They you could tell they believed. And one of the other things that I don't think you can undermine or underrate is Nick Nurse. And I think once again, the team believed in him. They trust him. And I've seen situations where, that team was full court pressing. You see him do some out of the box things. And when you have guys, especially experienced guys, that are willing to do those out of the box things and those non-traditional things during the course of a game, that means they believe in the coach, and that brings character, and that shows a lot of things. So this team was made to be a winning team. Now, how far they were going to go, once again, you never know because there's so many things that go into winning a championship.
And Alvin, looking at the future of the NBA, so much speculation being made on whether or not the NBA season will in fact come back. Nobody knows at this point. If you had to make a prediction, do you think we'll get NBA basketball this summer, or do you think the season as a whole will be scratched?
I think, from just seeing things and you just hear different reports, it's definitely an effort behind trying to get the guys playing, trying to get the season back on track, at least for the postseason. But, I know one thing about the NBA is, they're a proactive league and, they're really based on perception as well. So it depends what's going on in the world, health-wise, and what's going on with the pandemic, and is there something, an adjustment or a change where, the pandemic is starting to settle down or, the virus is under control. But until then, it's hard for me to see them forcing an issue and putting players at risk, and then most importantly, bringing or tarnishing the league's name as a whole because they weren't acting responsibly. So it's just one of those things you just never know until you're on the inside and you can see some type of outlook from what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's really well said, and I think that's been one common theme from a lot of people around the league, that the number one thing in all of this is player safety. So unless that is bulletproof, then I don't think the league will continue as follows. Okay, Alvin, let's now talk about your playing career here in Toronto. You spent 8 seasons with the Raptors, of course. You were a big part of the continuity here. What was your experience like playing in Toronto, where at the time the franchise was still fairly new?
It's great. I had a great time. I love basketball, right? I love, no matter where I was going to play, I could be in Siberia. Like, if I was going to get a chance to play basketball, that's what I was going to do. I play free, I play whatever, and no matter where. But, it was a pleasant surprise coming to Toronto, being traded from Portland. Portland was a slower city. It was a very cool city. It was cool. I loved it. I had a great time there, but Toronto was another thing. It was more like a city, like a New York City or like close to home. But I had a great time. The people were great. Nightlife was awesome. And the team, once again, I didn't get caught up in the management side. I didn't get caught up in what the team was about, how new the team was. All I knew was I was going to get an opportunity to play. So my first thoughts of Toronto was, it was a great place, and I enjoyed it. I couldn't wait to get back home to Philadelphia right after the season started. But, that was just me being like a homebody. But I love the city and what it offered.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I don't want to make you feel old here, but when I was a kid, I was watching those Raptors teams. Everybody's favorite player, was Vince Carter. I obviously admired him, but I was a big fan of yours, man. What you brought to the court, your toughness. Very similar to kind of what you see in a guy like Kyle Lowry now, both you guys coming over from Villanova. So I was a big fan of yours, man. And you obviously had some really good seasons in the early 2000s with that Raptors team. What was your fondest memory playing with the Toronto Raptors, if you have to maybe pinpoint one here?
Man, well, of course, the one year is when, unfortunately we lost in the second round to the Sixers. But, my fondest memory was actually just playing, man. Like, I was so privileged, and I can't even put value on the guys that I played with, from D Brown to Muggsy Bogues to Charles Oakley to Kevin Willis to Del Curry to Mark Jackson, Antonio Davis, Doug Christie's. Like, those older guys, even got a chance to play with Hakeem Olajuwon. But those early years with Oak and Muggsy, and I mentioned them all, like that team, Kevin Willis, that team was so special for us to have, and me to be in that locker room, hearing the stories, seeing how they prepared, off the court, going over Oakley's house and him cooking for the team, or me or my friends or family when they came over, D Brown, same, like going over his house and having dinner prepared and hanging with Muggsy. Like that piece, man, that piece touched me so much, because those are the guys I watched, growing up. And those were the guys I got a chance to really learn from and be a part of and be a teammate with. And so that moment of when I got a chance to play with all of those guys that came through, there, it was unbelievable. Like Rod Strickland, get a chance to play with him. Like, so it's unbelievable that just that opportunity, all the guys that came through the Toronto Raptors organization, that I was lucky enough to be there for a long period of time to play with all of them.
How was it like playing with Vince Carter? I mean, at the time, he was such a polarizing figure here, carried so much attention wherever you went. What was your relationship like with Vince Carter on and off the court?
It was great. VC was my man. You know, we both pretty much got to Toronto. My second year was Vince's first year, and that was the lockout year. And I remember both of us, you know, riding the bike because our contracts wasn't signed yet in order to play or practice or have any type of contact. So, you know, we spent some time together early on. I remember going to the malls together and hanging out. And, you know, Tracy was on that team as well, and he was young. So, you know, that it was great. And playing with Vince, man, it was unbelievable. It was a show every night. Like, just like you guys saw it as fans, we got a chance to see it as, you know, as his teammates. And, you know, and it couldn't be for a better person because he was a gentleman, a pleasant, a respectful guy, and a guy that was willing to do what he needed to do to make sure our team, you know, got to a certain level. And he started, you know, at like a deer in headlights because everything came to him so fast. Once he got a grasp of it, you know, he hit the ground running, and it was lights out after that.
Yeah, I mean, that 2001 team, Alvin, I gotta tell you, I thought you guys were good enough to get to the NBA Finals. You finally had overcome the Knicks, pushing the Sixers, the number 1 seed Sixers, to a Game 7. And then, of course, you were a Vince Carter missed jump shot away from making it onto the conference finals, where you guys would have played the Milwaukee Bucks. I'm going to put you on the spot here. I mean, there's a lot of talk about the Vince Carter graduation stuff. Do you think if Vince never went to his grad, that would have changed the outcome of the game?
No, I don't. I don't think so at all. I don't think it had anything to do with the outcome of the game. Now, if it was something where he couldn't make it back, or you know, the flight was delayed or something like that, and then he started the game late or couldn't be there at the game, that was the only way it affected. But you know, he came out there. He didn't play any different. You know, the ball just didn't go in. You know, that was a shot we would go to Vince 100 times out of 100 times, and you know, we gave ourselves the opportunity by getting back in the game late. Del Curry hit some monster threes that put us back in there and, you know, get us down one possession. And all you can ask for, you know, you take the team that was, you know what I mean, number 1 in the East, went to the finals that year to Game 7 off a last shot. That's just how that game, as much as it hurt and as much as it hurts till today, that was just one of those type of situations where you couldn't do much but other than, you know, wish for a chance. And we had a chance.
Was that your favorite season with the Raptors? That 2001 campaign?
It was a good season for me because I got a chance to actually play. You know, I got a chance to get to opportunity and I played, and I thought I played well. You know, Lenny Wilkins really believed in me. I was up and down with the previous coach Butch Carter, but I also learned a lot. I learned a lot during those times. I learned to be patient. I learned to believe in myself because, you know, my confidence did waver a little bit, you know, playing during those times, not really being sure of how to play and what to do and certain things. But when Lenny Wilkins came, it was like more like a clean slate. It was a clean slate, and I got an opportunity to play. And once again, he was patient. And the thing I know the thing that benefited me the most was getting an opportunity to play behind Mark Jackson, you know, one of the best point guards to do it. And him taking me under his wing and, you know, showing me, then get a chance not to just back him up, but play alongside of him, you know, at the 2-guard position. So it was fun. I had a great time. And, you know, we were successful. We won as a team. So I really, to answer your question, I think that was, you know, my most enjoyable season. But like, once again, once I got to Toronto, all those seasons meant a whole lot to me because of the people I was around.
Yeah, that's awesome. The whole tenure here was just awesome to see from a fan's perspective. Now, Alvin, you've played for the team. Now you cover the team. Tell me about the transformation you've personally seen over here over the years in terms of the growth and popularity of basketball, not only in the city of Toronto, but in the country of Canada.
Oh, it's great. I mean, you've seen it. The support was always there. The energy was always there. And, you know, and the fans are always great. I think from an organizational standpoint, more stability, more of an understanding of what it was going to take to build a winner. And that always starts with ownership. And then it goes to management. And I think once the management got tight and it was tightened up, and more, once again, more stability, a longer tenure. People had an opportunity to get some momentum. And I think when you have a Masai Ujiri's there with his staff and the people he's hired and the people that he kept along, so I think it starts right there. And then the players, you kept your players, DeMar and Kyle were staples of the organization with the pieces around them. And then you made a move because you created value for certain players. Players created value for themselves. So when it was time to make a move like a Kawhi Leonard and get a stud like him, you had a stud in your own that another team had interest in DeMar DeRozan. So those things come together. It's luck involved with that as well, uncertainty, but the dice rolled the right way. And then with the fans, now you have a product out there that you can believe in. You have a product out there that you can follow, because it's not a new coach every other year, or it's not 5 new players every other year, or it's not new management, or it's not different things. So I think, once again, it kept the fans engaged. It kept the fan keep growing and keep believing in the team. And once again, another part, the fans' knowledge of the game, the fans' knowledge of what an organization is supposed to be like. And then that all grew. And now you have what you have now, and one of the best teams, one of the best organizations, along with one of the best fan bases, if not the best fan base in all of sports.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, Alvin, I mean, growing up as a kid, seeing everybody get into hockey and stuff, to see now a lot more kids picking up basketballs, like, it just brings joy to my eyes just to see how far, we've all come here as a city and country. Lastly, Alvin, I do want to touch on what you're up to nowadays. You're, of course, from Philly. You founded the Academy of Hoops. You're wearing the shirt right now, which has been going strong for 11 years and counting. Can you tell us what that whole project is all about and what your ultimate goals are with the Academy?
Oh, well, it was just something, soon when I stopped playing and was back home for a long period of time, and I could really be engaged with the community and be engaged with younger players and younger kids. A friend of mine, we started the Academy of Hoops, and it basically was fundamental training with life lessons, and it's all through conversation. It was not much anything structured through programming or anything like that, but it was through workouts and training and through conversation, and it was open for anybody, right? So we continued doing that, and I still do it. It's not a multi-million-dollar business, but it's something where I stay engaged with the kids. A lot of the kids that we worked with earlier, they're going into their adulthood. So there's other things that I'm doing, as well as managing and trying to manage players and their lifestyle and their well-being, and trying to help them with all the things that come within this sport, whether it's relationship based, whether it's finances, whether it's representation, whether it's mental wellness, financial education. So it's a lot of things that I've learned, good and bad, and just through my experiences, along with some other my friends and former teammates and friends that were former players. They're helping out, being resourceful. So that's all things right now. Nothing really substantial, but it's going to gain some momentum, and I'm excited about these next few months, getting it all together. When this pandemic ends, we'll be ready to go.
Yeah, I think it's a solid initiative. I'm going to put the link down below, guys, of the podcast. Definitely go check it out. Alvin, I know you're a busy man. I got to do rapid fire with you. It's going to take 2 minutes. I got to get the personal side. You ready, my man?
Let's do it.
Okay, first rapid fire question. Most memorable career moment for you?
Shucks. I guess New York Knicks series.
Finally overcoming them?
Yeah, overcoming them, getting an opportunity to play. Because the year before we played the Knicks, I remember just being at the arena, being in the garden, and the energy, it was electric. And you saw the celebrities, you saw everybody, and I'm sitting there like, damn, I wish I was playing. But I was on the bench, deep on the bench. So I didn't. Then that time, I remember looking at the crowd and like, before I die, I have to get a chance to play in the playoffs against the Knicks. And lucky enough, it was the very next year we played the Knicks again at the Garden, and this time I had an opportunity to play, and I was starting. So that was a great moment for me. It was something that I only could dream, and it came true for me.
Yeah, that was a big series for you and the team. One accomplishment you're most proud of? Could be from your early days, late days, doesn't matter. One thing you're most proud of, one accomplishment.
Honestly, man, trying to be a father, man. And I think the best thing is, I look at my upbringing and I look at certain things and I look at the stuff my dad and my mom went through with me. And they always told me, you'll never know how much we love you, or you never know how much we care about you until you have your own. So I took those words to heart, and I definitely understand what they were saying. So I guess being the best father that I can be is a proud moment for me, because I know it's always a work in progress.
Wow, great response. Next question here. Your favorite movie of all time?
Favorite movie of all time? I would have to go, man. It's crazy. I'm not a movie person, but I'm an actor. Like, I like certain actors. So I'm an Al Pacino guy. So I would have to go with Scarface, but I like Carlito's Way. And then I'm a hip hop head. So I like Crush Groove. You're too young for that. And I like Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence. So I like Life. So I got to decide between Life, Scarface, and Crush Groove. So I'll probably have to go with Life, because at the end of the day, I like laughing. So I'll go with Life. That's a comedy.
Scarface is a solid response as well, a solid choice. What's the last thing you've cooked? I mean, definitely been cooking a whole ton during this quarantine. What's the last thing you've cooked up?
Last thing I cooked was just this afternoon. I put some burgers on the grill. So I put some burgers on the grill, and that was it. But my last meal that I cooked, I had steak. I cooked steak on the grill. I've been doing a lot of grilling during this quarantine. So,
nice.
Weather is nice. It was sunny outside earlier, so I got a chance to go out there for a little bit. This weekend is supposed to be nice, but the last meal I cooked was I had steak, and we had crab cakes.
Nice, getting that protein in. If you could have played any other pro sport other than basketball, what would it be?
Golf. So my body won't hurt. I take my body. I wasn't gonna play football, and I learned like the importance of keeping your body intact, so you're not walking around after your career. And it seems like golf is something that you can play for a very long time. And look at Tiger Woods, and I'm not discrediting any of these guys that prevent an injury. I know they put their bodies through hell, but it seems like a sport, if you love it and you get an opportunity to play for years and years and years. Basketball and football and sports like that, you have a short lifespan. It seems like golf is one of those sports where you can play, for nice duration.
So you're definitely super excited that golf courses are going to start to open up. At least you could get your golf game going again.
I suck at golf, so I can't play. I can't play at all. But if I could, I would.
Next one here. Best advice you've ever received?
Man. Got to be something from my mom and dad. I don't know, man. Shucks. I honestly, man, I don't know. I was you said getting to know me a little bit. I was raised with a very tight family, a lot of life lessons, a lot of discipline. But one thing, I can't pick one thing. I think one thing my parents did provide for me was they provided me to go to a private school, which it took me away from my community, my neighborhood for a bit, gave me more diversity, maybe I was exposed to a different life. So I think that helped me overall in life, being a complete person, or learning about different people, or learning about different situations. So I think not one thing that was told to me, but one experience that was provided for me, one situation that was provided for me was to get an opportunity to go to a different school outside of the neighborhood, so I can be outside of the box a little bit and grow as a person. So that's something my family's always done. They've always instilled a lot of things, values in me and my sister. So can't name one thing that, best advice, but, through my life, they gave me a lot of jewels that I still carry with me today.
That's awesome. And finally here, Alvin, one last question. You've done a lot of great things in your life, but what's one thing that's still on your bucket list of something that you need to do?
When all this stuff is over, I want to travel more. I've traveled due to work. I've traveled due to playing ball. Never really took the time to say, I'm going to go here and learn about another culture, or learn about another religion, or see how people are living in different circumstances and stuff like that. So, in order for me to be complete, I think once again, and me to be the best example and get the most information for my children and people I love around me, is to expand myself as well. And I think I can do that by traveling. So traveling is something that's on my bucket list. I'm not a big traveler, but I gotta open my wings up and take a little chance on more traveling.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think this whole pandemic has opened up our eyes that we got to do more with the time that we are granted. So very well said. And that will conclude our rapid fire and interview session with Alvin Williams, longtime Raptor. Alvin, thank you so much, man. As a kid who grew up watching you, big fan of your game, big fan of your analysis now of the game of basketball. I can't begin to tell you enough how much this means to me as a young journalist in the industry. So, Alvin, thanks so much, man. Keep safe, and I wish you and your family nothing but the best.
Thank you. You as well, and good luck in everything you do, brother.
Again, very privileged to have had Alvin Williams on the show. He dropped a lot of great nuggets in that piece. Let me know what you guys thought of the interview in the comment section down below. And again, please drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new, share this interview if you enjoyed it, and feel free to stay connected with me on social media. Anytime you guys want to talk basketball, my DMs are always open. Twitter, Instagram, and go follow me on TikTok as well. That's it for me. As always, this is another episode of the Luca Rosano Show. Hope you all enjoyed it, and I will catch you all again in the next one. Have yourselves a great weekend, and remember, be great and stay blessed. Peace.